One of the weird things that happens when you go out, if you're at a club or if you're at a dance or if you're at a wedding, or for me and for my wife and her upbringing, quinceañera, it's they celebrate the 15th birthday. It's part of the Mexican culture. I've been to about 1,000 of them. All right, like I know the playlist by now. But one of the strange things that happens at all these different gatherings is the empty dance floor phenomenon. It's bizarre. Because everybody's kind of sitting around, there's an empty dance floor, and it only takes one person to go out there, and then everybody else follows along. It's like we're just waiting to see who's going to be the one. Who's going to get out there, and who's going to jump on that empty dance floor, and next thing you know, the thing fills up, and people are partying their ass off and having a good time. Right? It's the empty dance floor phenomenon. And there was an empty dance floor in the NFL. And that empty dance floor was quarterbacks dictating how their careers play out. And then Tom Brady walked out. And guess what's happening? Now you're seeing other quarterbacks who are sitting around waiting for somebody to make the move, look and go, all right, I guess we're comfortable here. We're good to join. Let's get in here. Let's get in and let's have a dance, everybody. Like, we were waiting for somebody to make the leap. Now they've done it. Tom Brady walked out there on an empty dance floor, and now you got all these other quarterbacks who want to play and want to have the same things go on at the end of their career that Tom Brady was able to do at the end of his. That's what's happening here. Former GM and Hall of Famer Ron Wolf joined the Big Show Radio Network, and he said this about, quote, diva quarterbacks in the NFL nowadays.
There's a huge change, and it started with Russell Wilson, then went to Watson, now we got Rodgers. And it appears that today's quarterbacks want to be more than quarterbacks. They want to pick the coach, pick the players. Looks like we got a lot of divas playing in the league right now. And the thing that I fail to understand is all these guys that are doing this have long-term deals.
So we can argue about them being divas all we want. Again, that was Hall of Fame general manager Ron Wolf, who joined the Big Show Radio Network, and he referred to these quarterbacks as divas. We can argue about whether or not these are divas, and we will have that discussion later on in the show. But what I want to talk about now is the why. Why is this happening? Right? Why all of a sudden is this stuff happening? And it's because of Tom Brady. You think it's just a coincidence that the one off season after Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay and wins a Super Bowl in his first year with the Bucs, all of a sudden you got 3 top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL who all either, quote unquote, wanted to be traded or were at least on the block because they weren't happy with their current setup within the organization? You think that's just coincidental? You don't think those guys were looking at Tom Brady and going, well, he gets to do all this. When do I get my turn? They saw Tom Brady be able to make a move and dictate the end of his career. And they looked at that and said, well, why can't I have that? He's getting it. Why can't I? And on top of that, it worked. And the fact that Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl, and it was a resounding success, because one of the conversations we were having before the season when it came to Tom Brady and Tampa Bay is, what would you consider a success? All right, Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay. What do we consider a success? And you could say, well, you'd like to win a Super Bowl, and you'd like to, or at least get to a Super Bowl, at least make it. No. First year out, and not only did they win a Super Bowl, they beat the quote-unquote next dynasty of the NFL. And Patrick Mahomes. It was an overwhelming success, far beyond what anybody expected it to be, especially in a COVID offseason with not a lot of time to prepare. Tom Brady yelling at teammates on the sidelines and everybody turning it into like he was bullying players, and they went on and won a Super Bowl. And after the bye week, by far and away, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the best team in the NFL. Best team in the NFL. It worked. And you got guys like Rodgers and Russell Wilson and even Deshaun Watson who see that and go, man, can I get a little bit of love here? Can I have some say in what's going on like Tom Brady had say? Is that allowed? They look at Tom Brady's setup and they go, well, wait a second. Rob Gronkowski was retired. He wanted away from the NFL. Rob Gronkowski's body was so broken down that he talked about how he still got a dent in his thigh from a hit he took in the Super Bowl against the Rams. That was 2019. That was back when if you saw somebody out in public wearing a mask, you just assumed they were going to rob somebody. Like Rob Gronkowski had a dent in his thigh because of a hit he took in the Super Bowl and was emotional and crying about how banged up he was and his body was breaking down and he didn't know what he wanted to do. He was terrified to jump off a balcony during WrestleMania. They were trying to set up a stunt at WrestleMania. He was scared to do it. So Vince McMahon himself, who's like 1,000 years old, went up there and jumped off to show him it was safe. Like, that's the same guy we're talking about here. The guy that caught a couple of touchdowns in the Super Bowl and was on a boat parade. That guy, Tom Brady got him out of retirement. I want him. They said, no problem. Remember Antonio Brown? Remember Bruce Arians? There was this discussion about, man, Bruce Arians is never going to let Antonio Brown in this building. First of all, they don't need him. They got Mike Evans. They got Godwin. They got Scotty Miller. They do not need Antonio Brown. They don't need his antics. They don't need his attitude. They don't need his background. Tom Brady can like him all he wants. He can be upset about it all he wants. He's not getting Antonio Brown. Knock, knock. Hey, it's AB. Where do I put my stuff? It's just like whatever he wanted. Here it is. There you go. It's all yours. And it worked. Now, I don't know where this goes from here. I don't know if this is going to be, all of a sudden these guys are going to be able to get whatever they want. Because if you ask me right now, I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to get traded. Because I don't know why it makes sense for Green Bay to trade Aaron Rodgers. All right, they clearly had an idea in mind when they drafted Jordan Love. They clearly had an idea, and the idea was definitely not, let's trade Aaron Rodgers after back-to-back NFC title game appearances. All right, that definitely wasn't the idea, which is why they've been so adamant about, no, we're not, this guy's not going anywhere. So if you ask me right now, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback for the Packers week 1. I think that's where my mind is at right now. And we all thought at the time, and I'm guilty of it as well too, everybody thought at the time, man, Russell Wilson, he might actually get traded. No, it's not happening. Seattle, they figured it out and realized, look, we're better off with him than without him, so let's go ahead and try and make this work. Deshaun Watson, whole nother conversation. That is a whole nother conversation based on everything else that has come out regarding Deshaun Watson. And with Aaron Rodgers, we all got excited. It was the day of the draft. The news got out there, and we all looked around and said, oh, my God, Aaron Rodgers might actually get traded because Aaron Rodgers is pissed off, which brings us all the way back around to the why. The reason these guys are upset is because they see somebody who does what they do. They see him get to do it the way that he wants to do it, and then it works. And the worst thing to happen to the Packers front office, to the Seahawks front office, and to the Texans front office is to see Tom Brady go to Tampa Bay on his terms at the end of his career, getting to do it the way he wants to do it with the guys he wants to play with, and it worked. So now you're one of these guys in the front office and you're looking around going, okay, we might have a little bit of an issue here. There was a story years back. Tommy Kelly was a defensive tackle for the Raiders years back. And Al Davis gave him a contract. And it was well beyond what he was, quote unquote, deserving of. Well beyond. Nobody thought he would get anywhere near this type of money. And the report was other executives around the NFL were pissed off at Al Davis. Like, what are you doing? Now you've just raised the price on every interior defensive lineman in the NFL based on you wanting to compensate a guy well beyond what he's deserving of. So other front offices are looking. They're seeing, okay, well, how are you playing this? How are you guys going about this? Those front offices looked at Tampa and said, we might have a problem here. Because now every other quarterback's going to go, whoa, it worked over there. Let me have a say. Let me have a voice in this. Let me have some personnel control. Let me get to dictate terms at the end of my career or dictate terms regarding my future like Tom Brady did in Tampa Bay. All it takes is one person to get on an empty dance floor, and the next thing you know, things start filling up. And I think that is what is happening in the NFL when it comes to these quote-unquote diva quarterbacks in the league.